The Toronto real estate market has been tanking for most of 2024, and the condo submarket has been leading the way as the tank commander. Since peaking in 2022, Toronto condo prices have dropped from an average sale price of $832,000 in March of 2022 to an average sale price of $748,000, which was reported this July 2024. Based on those numbers, that's a drop of only about 10% in average sale price, which doesn't actually seem that drastic if you're looking to buy a condo. But having worked with both buyers and sellers this 2024, touring units and listing units, I've actually been pretty surprised to see some of the value buys that have sold and are available in the market. And you don't really see them or notice them from the sidelines, mainly because all you really see in the headlines is high-level numbers like I just went over. But if you're actively looking at properties, there is some very good value that's out there in the market. So in this video, I'm going to go over where in the 416 you're getting good value by profiling two specific condo types on the resale market, so not looking at any pre-construction. And I'm also going to make the case why the next 6 months or so are a good time to buy a condo if you're looking for a home. First off, this video is not a suggestion to buy a condo unless you plan on holding for a minimum of 5 years. If you're a short-term investor, I'd still caution against buying a condo. In my honest opinion, you should not be buying one unless you have a use or need for it at some point. Interest rates are beginning to come down, but as an investment with today's rental rates, you will still be cash flow negative to purchase a condo with the minimum down payment required, and I think that will continue for the foreseeable future. The two condos I'm profiling are very specifically a 600 to 699 square foot, 1-bedroom plus den condo apartment in Toronto with 1 parking space, and an 800 to 899 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo apartment in Toronto with 1 parking space. Between January to March 2022, a 1+ den with this profile sold on average for $735,000 across the 416, while in May to July 2024, these sold for $619,000. That's a drop of 16%. Over that same time period, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath sold on average for $903,000 in 2022, while recently the average sale price was $769,000, or a drop of 12%. High level, it looks like price per square foot went from roughly close to $1,000 per square foot on the resale market to about $850 to $880 per square foot. That's all assuming that the value of a parking space is around $40,000. Again, understandably, nothing here is jumping out of the screen, but these are averages. I'm speculating here, but some of the reasons that I think that 2-bed units have not dropped as much as 1+ den units are, for one, investors have been leaving the market, and investors predominantly hold 1-bedroom condos, meaning a lot more of the inventory for sale are 1-bedroom units. So there is a higher amount of supply of smaller units saturating that market. Reason two, the end users that are looking to buy 1-bedroom condos are skewing more towards Gen Z buyers whose parents are Gen X. And Gen Z and Gen X will not only have less money than millennial with boomer parents, but Gen Z also has a lower population demographic than millennials. In recent years, some of this gap may have been made up with immigration and non-PRs that will eventually add to this generation's total population in our census data. However, even with an increased population, this Gen Z demographic is unlikely to be able to afford as much as the previous generations. And three, the pool of buyers for 2-bedroom units seems to be larger than 1-bedroom units. Obviously, for demographic reasons, as I just mentioned with the Gen Z and millennials. But 2-bedroom units are also attracting a mix of young families, first-time home buyers, and downsizers across all generations, as this is the affordable option if you want to live in the city, but have enough space to stretch out and grow a family or hold a lifetime's worth of possessions. Not that these 2-bedroom units are flying off the shelf, but as long-term living options, these make a lot more sense than a 1-bedroom unit for anyone that is considering condo living. So where have prices dropped the least in Toronto? For 1-bedroom units, it's easily downtown. I have Toronto south of Davenport between Keele and the DVP as downtown, and in this section of the city, 1-bedroom plus den condos have dropped by 14.6%. Next, I have Central Toronto, which I've classified as roughly north of Davenport, the 401, in between the DVP and about Allen Road. And there, 1-bedroom plus den units have dropped by 15.7%. these are pretty broad areas. So more specifically, the areas that have seen the lowest drop are the Toronto Real Estate Board's region CO2, which mostly encompasses the Annex and Yorkville, where one-bedroom prices dropped only 9%, and C10, which is broadly Midtown, Yonge and Eglinton, where prices only dropped 10%. I would describe both of these neighborhoods as being pretty affluent, high-income neighborhoods. I speculate the reason one-bedroom units have dropped less in these areas is probably the owners didn't need to sell the units as urgently and were able to hold out for their price. Market value is a meeting place that sellers are willing to sell and buyers are willing to buy. And if the sellers aren't willing to drop their price but buyers still want in, you'll see real estate retain more of its value. For two-bedroom units, the areas of the city that have seen the lowest decrease are downtown at 11.1% and North York at 11.2%. No surprise, but the condo areas of North York tends to attract a largely Asian demographic where apartment-style living in walkable neighborhoods is very much normalized. So it's my feeling that for the buyer base here, buying a two-bedroom condo does not really feel like a compromise in not being able to buy a house, and instead it's a lifestyle choice. Similarly, downtown, it's either very costly or very inefficient to get into a house. So in a two-bedroom space, most downtown buyers opt for a condo. The areas that have seen the largest drop in prices for 1+ den condos is Scarborough at 18.1%, followed by Etobicoke at 17.5%. Both Scarborough and Etobicoke are arguably the least densely populated boroughs of Toronto, so this does make some sense. They're almost the suburbs. Specializing in Etobicoke myself, I haven't of late run into many active buyers looking for one-bedroom units. And while prices have come down, they haven't dropped enough where it's affordable or easy for someone on a single income, even if they're earning six figures, to easily be able to buy without a 20% down payment. The amount that major banks are willing to lend, assuming no outstanding debts right now, is around 4 times your income. So to get into a one-bedroom condo, if your income is around $100,000, while it's possible under $500,000, you will still need to budget a 20% down payment or close to $100,000. And even the younger couples on dual incomes, I'm finding that they're looking to future-proof a purchase, looking for a minimum of 2-bedroom units to accommodate for any potential family growth or work-from-home situations. So for a lot of the double-income, no-kid households, 1-bedroom units are out of consideration. And for 2-bedroom units, the areas that have seen the highest decline are Etobicoke, again, at 21.9%, and Scarborough at 15.2%. Again, going back to the less densely populated areas of the city. This drop between Etobicoke and Scarborough is quite stark, and I can't single it down to one reason, but from my experience, again, in Etobicoke, a lot of young families are looking to get into their first house here, where the freehold market is still extremely competitive, and there have been a lot of condo completions in the last 2 to 3 years in Etobicoke, which I believe is significantly driving this divestment of condo units even for the 2-bedroom properties. So it's an interesting time if you're considering buying, especially if you're open to location. You have quite a few areas that are offering very good value. And if I were looking to move into a condo, especially in the nearer term, here's a few reasons why I would really consider buying in the next 6 months or so. 1, interest rates have come down and will continue to drop, and prices have not budged yet. Since rates peaked, there's been a small 0.5% drop the last few months, with many market analysts expecting another 0.5% drop by the end of 2024. A 1% drop in interest rates isn't nothing, and on a $500,000 mortgage, that's the difference of almost $300 a month in mortgage payments. That would take you from about $3,200 a month to $2,900 a month, or a 10% decrease. 2, in 3 to 5 years, there will probably be a pretty serious undersupply in the condo market. The reason is that due to the last 2 years of high interest rates and dropping condo values, very few new housing units are currently being constructed. Projects that have been approved are having trouble selling pre-construction, and the majority of builders don't build until they've sold 70 to 80% of the building. Our housing crisis is going to get worse before it gets better. 3, the cost to build is still high, and it's hard to see them building at a price under where they are today. Not saying it can't happen, but the City of Toronto continues to increase development charges that get passed down onto the buyers. And while some builders might be able to find some efficiencies in building for cheaper, the risks in pursuing a project seem higher than ever. So it's hard to say if many builders will even bother building with these lower margins. 4. Resale condos are superior to new build condos. Okay, that's a gross overgeneralization, but brand new condos, if you haven't looked at floor plans, if you haven't been inside a brand new unit, will be smaller with smaller bedrooms and more often do not include parking due to initiatives by the city to encourage higher adoption of TTC use. Most projects proposed after 2019 severely limit parking for one-bedroom units to encourage more walkable cities, and you probably won't be in a spacious new unit unless you're in a luxury building, which you are definitely paying for. And 5. The upcoming fire sales due to mortgage renewals of condos bought between 2021 and 2022 that many expect over the next 2 years may not be better than where prices are today. I say this from a very objective number, but if we look high level at where average condo prices were in 2022 at $832,000 and assume that the majority of sellers that will need to sell are investors who do require a 20% down payment, currently average condo prices are $748,000, a drop of only 12%. So while they definitely will be selling at a loss, it won't be as drastic as what many market sideliners are expecting. So if you're looking for a condo in the city and are looking for some help, you can drop me a line. My information is down below. My name is Jonathan Lee and I'm a Toronto area realtor based out of Etobicoke. And if you like real estate content, hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.